Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you part 10 of Stitch Story Crochet Along. Stitch Story Crochet Along has been designed by Heather Gibbs from Keep Calm and Crochet On UK. In part 10 we're making cabled squares. So these small and large squares, you can see a cable running through all of these squares. You can make just small squares, only large squares, all up to you. I'll show you both the small and the large square because they're slightly different in how the cables are made. I'm going to use a 3.5mm for the small square and a 4mm for the large square. But which hook size you use is up to you, and of course also up to your yarn and your tension. I'm using Scheepjes River Washed yarn. This is the baby brother of the stone washed yarn, and I'm using that in combination with the hook I need for my gauge. I'll first take you through the small square and then I'll show you the start of the large square because they are similar but they are different at the same time. So thank you for watching. I hope it's a useful video for you. Row 1. I have a slip knot on my hook using a 3.5mm hook. I'm going to chain 27. And that's going to be the base for the first row. I'm going to chain 27. 27. So I've got a chain of 27 stitches. I'm going to start on the 4th chain from the hook with the double crochet. Then the first chain 3 counts as a double, and then go to chain the 4th chain and start the first full stitch, and then work a double crochet on every stitch and do that until you get to the end, and then you will have, including the turning chain 3, you'll have 25 stitches, and then we're ready for the first pattern round. So continue like this, work a double crochet on every stitch until you're to the end here, and then I'll see you for round 2. For row 2, I'm going to start with a chain 2. Now this chain 2 counts as your first half double. Turn your work. So that chain 2 counts as your first stitch. Then you're going to go to the second stitch and work a half double. We're going to work 3 more. This is 1, 2, and 3. So you've now got 4 half doubles. Over the next 4 stitches we're going to work a cable. Now what we're going to do is we're going to skip, let me just open this up and just talk you through it before we actually do it. On these 4 stitches we're going to work a cable. We're going to skip these first 2, so we're going to skip those 2, and then around stitch 3 and 4 we're going to work a front post double. So first on the 3rd one and then on the 4th one. Then we're going to come back and work a front post double on the 1st stitch and on the 2nd stitch. That's what we're going to be doing. And that will look like a bit of a mess right now once we've done it, but when your work grows this will actually become a cable, so don't worry that this all looks kind of a bit messy at the moment, but it's also because your work is still small. As your work grows it really does become better. So I'm going to yarn over, then I'm going to skip the next stitch and then the stitch out. So the first 2 stitches I'm going to skip. I'm going to go to stitch number 3, then around the post of that stitch work a front post double, and also on stitch number 4 work a front post double. There you go. We're now going to come back to those 2 stitches we skipped, and I'm just going to push them forward so you can see exactly where they are. I'm going to yarn over and then come back to that first one, and you're really going to have to fold your work to get around that stitch because your hook doesn't really want to go there. And then yarn over again, and now there's 1 stitch in there and you can see it's kind of hidden. And there it is. So be sure to bring up that last stitch and work up another front post double. And as you can see here, your work looks very messy, and there are 4 stitches in there, but as it grows it becomes better. We're now going to work a half double on the next 2 stitches. So yarn over, so go to the next stitch. Now you need to be careful about what is your next stitch. You see that loop there belongs with the stitch that we worked the first or the second front post double on. So that's not your next stitch. That stitch there, that's your next stitch. So in that stitch work a half double, and also on the following, so you're going to work 2 half doubles. On the next stitch work a front post double. So this is just a normal front post double, nothing weird about that, no skipping stitches or anything. On the next 3 stitches, so these 3 stitches, work a half double again. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Work a front post double on the next. And then work 2 half doubles on this stitch and on the following. We're now going to work a cable. We're going to do exactly the same as we did here at the beginning. We're going to do over the next 4 stitches. So we're going to skip the first 2, work a front post double on these last 2, and then come back to the 2 that we skipped and work a front post double on those. Go to yarn over, so skip 1, 2 stitches, come to the next, the third one, and work a front post double. So come to the next, stitch number 4, and work a front post double. Now going to come back to the first 2 stitches, so those two, if you push your work forward, they kind of just pop out at you. Around those 2, especially the first one, you're really going to have to fold your work and help your hook to get around that. Work a front post double, and on the next a front post double. You should have 4 stitches left. So you see there are 3 full stitches plus a turning chain. I'm going to work a half double on all of those. And let me just find the first one. This here is the first one. So on 4 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3. And then here's a turning chain, so I'm just going to stick my hook in that first chain there. And then that's my 4th stitch. This is row number 2. And it still looks a bit messy here, but when you've done this a few times, it'll really work out. Row 3. We're again going to start with a chain 2. This counts as your first half double, and then work 3 more half doubles. So that counts as your first stitch. That's in that position. Then on the next 3, so on those 3, work a half double. So that's the first stitch already made. 1, 2, and 3. So now you have 4 half doubles in total. The next 4 stitches, now this little mess you seem to have here, these are your stitches where we did the cross in the previous round. Now on all of those 4 stitches we're going to do a back post double. So I'm going to yarn over and then around the first stitch do a back post double. So that's one, and then the next one really is there in between. You see, there's the stitch. See, there's the stitch. So that's your second back post double. And then you've got two more. These are slightly easier because they're here more to the front of your work. That's the third. And then the fourth one is on this last stitch that made up the cable. Now this is the back side of your cable, so you'll see a lot of these ridges here. But if you go to the front, you can already see that those back post stitches have helped to just even out your line here. So those were the first, that was the first cable. We're also going to do the same here at the second, but first we're going to do 2 half doubles on the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. Our next stitch should be a front post stitch from the previous round, and we're going to work a back post double around that. So you're going to work a back post around every stitch where you worked a front post in the last round, and all other stitches you work a half double. That's the rhythm that you're going for here. Now this might seem like your next stitch, but remember that's actually part of the stitch where you just work the back post on. So go to the next. That's 1. I'm going to work 3, 2, and 3, back post, 3 stitch half doubles, and then on the next stitch work again a back post double. You have 2 more stitches to work a half double on, and then we're going to work 4 back posts. The next 4 stitches work a back post double. This here is the first one. And that second one is maybe the hardest one to find because it's totally hidden in there somewhere. So here it is from the top, is that stitch. So I'm going to, so maybe if you turn your work forward you see it more easily. It's that stitch, there it is. Work a back post stitch around that. And then you've got 2 more stitches and they're here more to the front. And that's the first one there. And then the second one. And this is still a little fidgety because your work is still small. You have again 4 stitches left. That loop belongs to the stitch that you've just worked. So that's your next stitch. Work a half double on there. Going to work 4, and the last one will be on your turning chain. It's 2, 2, then we get the full stitch. This is 3, and then number 4 here is on your turning chain 2. So you see there's your chain 2. I'm just going to insert my hook in there and complete the stitch. If you now look from the front, you'll see that your work makes a lot more sense than it does from the back. You can see here that your first cable, you can see that wave is already a little bit in there. Row 4 that you're now going to work is actually a repetition of row 2. I will show you row 2, however, or actually row 4, because it looks different because you now have a different stitch than your base stitch than you had here when you had only those double crochet. So I will show you row 4, but it is actually the same as row 2. You're now going to be repeating rows 2 and 3 until you have 17 rows in total. So row 4, as a repetition of row 2, I'm going to do a chain 2, counts as my first half double, so that's that stitch there, and then go to the next. I'm going to work 3 more half doubles. That's 1, 2, 3. There you go. On the next 4 stitches, so those 4 there, so they're all already front post or back post stitches. These are all back post doubles. Going to work a cable. So I'm going to skip the first 2, then on 3 and 4 work a front post double, and then come back and work a front post double on 1 and 2. That's what we're going to do. Yarn over, skip 1 and 2, come to number 3, and that's this stitch here, and work a front post double. On the next stitch, that's stitch number 4, work another front post double. We now need to come back, and I'm going to push these stitches out, so I'm just pushing them from behind my finger, just pushing them out. You see there's stitch 1 and 2 that we skipped. So on that first one, just folding my work to really get around that stitch, work a front post double, and then the last one, and that one's really in there, that stitch, that's the one you're going for. It's really a bit squashed in there, so you're going to have to just dig it out a bit. That's the last one there. So, and again, your work looks, it's a little bit messy right now. Don't worry, when you come back and you do the row 3 repeat, it will help to clear up what's happening here. Going to work 2 half doubles. This is not your next stitch, because that belongs to one of your front post stitches here. Those 2 going to work a half double on. So 1 and 2. Work a front post around this already textured stitch, so that's already a back post stitch. You work a front post around that. The next 3 stitches work a half double. So 1, 2 and 3 half doubles. Again a front post double around the next, followed by 2 half doubles on those 2 stitches there. So 1 and 2. These 4 stitches we work again the same as we did here. We're going to work that weave. I'm going to skip the first 2 and then come to stitch number 3, work a front post double, and also go to the next and work a front post double. Now you have to come back to those 2 stitches that you skipped. You see they're very much hidden in there, so I'm just going to push them out from the behind, and then those 2 are the stitches you're going for. First one, and then the second one, which is at this point really hidden in there. That's is the second one. You have 4 stitches left, so 3 full stitches in a turning chain 2. Work a half double on each of those. That's 1, 2, 3, and here you've got the chain 2, so I'm just going to stick in that first of the 2 chains, top one, just work a half double. So this was row 4, which is exactly the same as row 2. You're now going to come back and work row 3 again. That means from the back. If you work a row 3 repeat now, you're going to do 4 or chain 2 and 3 half doubles, and you're going to do back post stitches around all your textured stitches, and then you're going to have 2 rows of these cables, and you're going to repeat this. So you're going to keep on repeating 2 and 3 until you have 17 rows. Row 18. At this point you've done 17 of these rows. You can really see how the cable stitch has formed here along both sides. You have the right side facing, and we're going to work one last row of half doubles. So I'm going to chain 2, which is the first stitch, so it counts for that stitch, and then go to the next, work a half double, and work a half double on every stitch. So that should give you 25 half doubles. A half double on every stitch up to here, and also remember the chain 2 there, that's also work a half double on that. This is your square after you've done the last edge. Remember, when you've done the last row, row 18, work an edge around your square with 25 single crochets on each side and 3 single crochets in the corner. I'm still marking my corners with a piece of thread so I can find them easy later on. Oh, and I still need to work away a few yard tails. This is the small square. It's finished. You can work one of these, you can work 10 of these, just all up to you. I'm also going to show you the large square, because the large square has a different design to the small square, though it is similar with the cables, but it is slightly different in how the stitches are positioned. So I'll just show you the first 2 or 3 rows of the large square as well. For row 1 of the large square, I've gone up a hook size to a 4mm hook, and I've just done a chain 52, so quite a long chain, 52 chain stitches, and then starting in the 4th chain from the hook, 4th chain, start with a first double crochet. You're going to work a double crochet on every stitch, and then you'll have 50 doubles, including the chain 3, the turning chain 3 at the beginning of the row. So this is similar to the small square, only more stitches. So complete to the end. So I've now done a few with you. Complete to the end, so till you get here, work a double crochet on each. Row 2. This row we're going to start the cables. I'm going to do a chain 2. This counts as my first half double. I'm just going to turn. So now you have the right side of your work facing, but it's still a chain at this point. Chain 2 counts for your first stitch. That's that one. And then on the next 4, work a half double. So you're going to have 5 half doubles here on the one side. And the last one. So you've got 4 full stitches and the chain 2, so that's 5 stitches. On the next 4 stitches we're going to work a cable exactly the same way we've done for the small square. So I'm going to skip the first 2, and then here on the 3rd stitch go around the stitch and work a front post. And also on the next work a front post double crochet. Come back to those 2 stitches you skipped and work a front post on those 2. So 1 and 2. And again, it looks a bit messy, but as you know from the small square, this all works out. Going to go to the next stitch and then work 5 half doubles. 5 half doubles. Now this here is your next stitch. See, it looks like there's a bit of a gap there between the because you've got that front post there and that second last stitch. So here's your first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one, 5 half doubles. You're going to repeat the cable stitches and the 5 half doubles. You're going to repeat till the end. So this was one, so you're going to do a few of those, and your last repeat, the 5 half doubles will fall exactly here on this last stitch. So chain 3 is your turning stitch. I'll show you this repeat once more, and then I'll make a jump in the video. So again, exactly the same on the next 4 stitches. So on those 4 stitches there, sorry, my hook's in the way. On those 4 stitches, going to work a cable. So that means skipping 1, 2, going to stitch number 3, work the front post double. So 1, and the next one is 2, and then come back, and in those 2 stitches that you skipped, really having to fold your work to get around that first one. The first cable, a stitch, and then here's the second. There you go. So again, a bit messy, but we all know that works out. Then again 5 half doubles, and your next stitch is that one there. That's your next stitch. And then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 half doubles. I've now done the repeat 2 times. I'm going to do a few more, and then I'll just see you here for the last repeat. Almost to the end of the row, and I have 4 cables already, and I'm going to work the last cable, cable number 5, and then finish. So next 2 stitches I'm going to skip, then go to the 3rd stitch, work a front post double, also on the next, then come back, and on those first 2 work a double front post and 2. You have 5 stitches left, 4 full stitches and the chain 3 here. Work a half double on all of those. So you're going to work 5 half doubles. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one here on top of that chain 3 is 5. There you go, so that's 5 half doubles. Then this completes row 2, so you now have 5, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 of these cables, the places where your cables are going to move up. Row 3, very similar to row 3 of the small square. Let's do a chain 2, which counts as a half double. I'm going to turn, and then on your next 4 stitches you work a half double. Now the chain 2 of course counts for this one, so go to the next. So 1, 2, 3, and this is here number 4. So with the beginning chain 2 you have 5 half doubles. We're going to start a repeat unit again. What we're going to do is on the cable we're going to work back post stitches, back post doubles on the next 4 stitches, so that's on the cable, and then on the half doubles you work a half double, so that's 5 half doubles. First the back post doubles here on the cable. So you take that first one, if you tilt your work forward it might be easy to see exactly where it is. Work a back post stitch, back post double around the first, and also that second stitch there, back post double, and on the next 2, so those 2 also a back post, and they're here to the front of your work. You might have to just help that a little bit. This is very similar to the small square, so if you can do the small square you can definitely also do the large square. On the next 5 stitches, or the next 5, work a half double. And that there is not your first stitch, that is your first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this you're going to repeat on all these other cables as well. So on the next 4 stitches you work back post double, exactly like here, and then you work 5 half doubles. Repeat until the end, and remember here your chain 2 is also a stitch, so work your last half double will fall on that turning chain 2. After you've worked row 3, so those back post stitches, you're going to continue repeating row 2 and 3, and this is very similar to the small square, and you're going to continue to repeat this until your square is large enough. You see that there are quite a few repeats, and then in that last row you work a row of half doubles, exactly the same as a small square. So the large square is the same and different at the same time than the small square. Finish your large square by working 50 single crochets around and 3 in the corner, so 50 on each edge and 3 in the corner. I've still diligently marking my corners. So this completes the large square. This is my small square, so you can see how they're the same yet different. Brings us to the end of the video. You can make as many large or small squares as you like. I'm making one of each, so I'm finished for this week. I hope to see you next week when we'll do part 11 already.